Growers who scout sites during the winter months must be able to visualize how the landscape will be shaded by trees, and the path the sun will take come spring. Of course, the greater the amount of sunlight the better, but when choosing the site, sunlight is just one of many factors that must be considered. The last criteria has nothing to do with plant biology, but rather focuses on minimizing the threat of unwanted attention from people wandering by. The cover should be both tall enough to keep people from spotting it and thick enough to discourage them from wandering too close to it. The best foliage to accomplish this is a large patch of big sticker bushes. If that's not available, look for foliage that grows to a height of 6 to 8 feet by the fall and is far enough away from where someone might stray. The ability to hide plants amongst the flora in fields is an art and skill improved upon through practice. One favorite technique is to hide plants on the south side of bushes so that passers-by will have difficulty spotting the plant. Plants still get adequate light in spite of the appearance of being crowded by a larger bush. The best hiding spot for herb is where people have their view blocked from all sides and has the appearance of being impenetrable. In areas where the vegetation growth is less than 3 feet, the herb may need to be trimmed back or tied to the ground in order to create smaller bushier plants. Fields with small vegetation growth may have poor soil or can be dry upland environments where the soil frequently becomes too dry, so use caution. Making herb junior blend in with the other plants in the field will minimize risk. In order to grow plants efficiently, an outdoor grower must use the natural landscape to his or her advantage. Making a trail. One of the ways to ensure success is by creating trails that are not visible to passers-by. This is easier in some places than in others. Areas having dense undergrowth with lots of sunlight can be ideal because plant growth is so rapid it will erase any damage to the vegetation between trips during the spring and summer. If you are growing plants in areas easy to spot trails, then make the path weave back and forth so it becomes difficult for people to see a trail. Making a hidden trail to the sites is important because it allows the grower to minimize getting ripped off or worse, caught. People wander through undeveloped areas and follow trails to nowhere all the time. Their access can be limited through thoughtful planning of pathways and proper care in using them. When you walk through your entrance, do everything possible not to damage any of the foliage, especially toward the late summer and early fall. At this time of the year, damaged foliage usually will not regrow, and this is when the plants need as much cover as possible. There are two things to keep in mind when making a trail to your sites. 1. Can you see the trail you just made? If not, that's great. If so, look for ways to cover areas that look like the trail. 2. The more difficult it is for you to get to the site, the less likely someone else will try. The mechanics of growing. Your cousin Louis and his friend Sam are in town from Oklahoma, and they have smoked a lot of grass and grown some in their backyards. Sam has a good rap and appears knowledgeable about fine herb. Taking these two gentlemen for a walk in the fields might appear to be a good idea. They could offer some insightful pointers. I must caution against these excursions. Even if these men are the earth experts they appear, taking a walk with them may not be in your best interest. They are unfamiliar with the area and may not know where to run if the need arises. Walking with more than 2 people through a field can attract attention. The greater the number of people, the greater chance of being seen. The more people walking on a trail, the larger the trail becomes, and thus the greater the chance your trail can be followed by others. Every time you visit the site, you are putting the harvest and for that matter yourself at risk. This may be a small or large risk depending on the particular place, but remember that no place is 100% safe. unless it is an emergency situation where the buggy flight has infested your crop, and you are bringing in a specialist to offer expert advice. The sites should not be visited by strangers. Having a growing partner is recommended regardless of his or her competence, and even then the sites should only be visited to accomplish specific tasks. Trips to the site should occur at the following times. 1. Preparing the soil. Early March, mid-April depending on climate. I suggest buying 40 pounds bags of organic potting soil and mixing this in with the existing soil. This soil is not often found at your local all-purpose store, so some searching may be required. Potting soil is richer soil than commercial topsoil, so it goes a little bit farther when mixed with the existing soil. Lime may be necessary in areas with acidic soil, and peat moss is a good additive for soils with a clay-type consistency. I avoid chemical fertilizers, not just because I believe that organic farming is the best way, but also because toxic waste is produced from the manufacture of fertilizers. It's also a good idea to put up a 2-foot-high fence at this time. This will keep small animals out, and the use of dried blood and slash or human hair will fend off deer. Purchase a wire fence with small gaps, 2 inches or less between the metal strands. Collect enough sticks in the area to provide stakes that will support the fence about every 2 feet. Outline the site with the sticks and tie the fence to the sticks with string or wire. Cut the fence end strand and bend the strands that protrude from the top of the fence out and down the outside to discourage animals from trying to jump over it. Camouflage the fence and site with normal ground debris as necessary before leaving. 2. Planting. Early April, early May. There are different ways to go about planting. A. The seed-intensive method. This method should only be used if you have an abundance of seeds. The seed-intensive method entails planting many seeds in a small area. Its strength is that it can limit risk. When you journey to your newly prepared sites, the seeds and trowels are hidden in your pockets. Plant the seeds about 1/2 inch deep. Unless the soil contains high amounts of clay, then only plant seeds 1/4 inch in the soil. If you set up small size 3/4 by 3/4 square, put in 3 rows with a seed every 1/2 inches. If you work out the math, this is roughly 72 seeds per site. Unfortunately, many growers, especially beginners, do not have this many good seeds. If a grower creates 4 sites with this many seeds, he or she is almost guaranteed a harvest. Yes, there will be some crowding, and this is one of the drawbacks of using many seeds in a small area. Also, figure around 50% of the plants are going to be male, so you must return to the site to cut out the males toward the end of summer. Once the males are removed from the site, the females get more light and aren't as crowded. The seed-intensive strategy tends to produce smaller plants because of crowding, but at the same time it helps ensure a harvest every season. In the present day of infrared photography, I believe it is important to have small sides to avoid detection from the air.